Saturdays, jazz music, jazz music.
Jazz music.
You're listening to the sounds of Jackson Miller.
So, how are you feeling about this album being out there?
Honestly, it's one of the more nerve-wracking things I've ever done because for so much of my career, I've been doing a thing that I felt like had a blueprint, and it was about trying to do a thing that had kind of been not been done, but at least I kind of had it should sort of sound like this, but with this whole project, I just kind of made everything up. I wrote all the music, did all the samples, tried all these different things, even down to the band is a bunch of relatively, for lack of a better term, unknowns, no ringers, no guys where you're like, oh, that guy, in a couple of years, I think it'll be like that. But yeah, so it's nerve-wracking. So,
The samples, this is the first time you're using samples on an album?
Abortion law effectively banning abortion.
Ladies, you are right.
yeah, and a lot of being an artist to me is like it's being wrong. It's trying stuff. That's why I call it "This Might Not Work" because this kind of ballooned from me making a statement saying I would like to do a revamp of the "I Have a Dream" speech that Martin Luther King did. Max Roach did a solo where he used that speech, and it ballooned into this thing where the whole record I'm using the samples, and I didn't know how it was going to work. I mean, when I first started it, I didn't know how to work any of the machines.
How long ago did you do this?
It's been about a year, this whole journey, from thinking about it and going, oh, it'd be cool to do that, to, saying, oh, I'm just going to play it through my iPhone. And people telling me, like, you can't do that. And then be like, getting an education. I used to think people who made beats and did DJ stuff, I used to say they weren't musicians, or I didn't respect them like they were musicians. But let me tell you, man, it's definitely an art form.
Sound appreciation?
Oh man, I got a real education, but I'm wrong about so many things all the time, and I'm good with it. As long as I'm okay to, as you see the light, walk therein, so to speak,
And the title of most of the songs actually is, would you say that the titles are the samples basically kind of like a way of telling people what the song was about? Is that your avenue, the samples and the titles? Like, what's the relation there?
If I said that there was always some sort of theme, I'd be lying. Sometimes the samples are just samples that I feel like work with the music or tell a story, because I don't sing and I don't dance. So to be expressive and to tell people, I wanted my music to be about something. So to make the music about something without singing and without doing, I didn't want to do a whole bunch of talking on the microphone. I felt like the second best thing to singing was the samples.
The album as a whole, you were saying that you don't think it has one theme?
Every song is about something.
Right.
That was more important to me. Every song is personal. I've been involved in a lot of projects where, the nature of jazz these days is either you're writing songs just because you feel it seems more like an ego-based pursuit, like, well, it's my record, so I write all the music. Or you're playing these songs that you don't know who these people are. You don't know what these titles mean. They mean nothing to you. It's just a set of changes for you to blow over or to play. So I wanted every song on the record means something to me, is about something that happened to me, I was born in Camden. R&R was written after an event or an argument I had, and I kind of expressed it in a song, and then I changed the meaning of the song, and that's why the samples are about my stance on abortion. And Live on Arrival, you know, each song is very personal to me, and I can talk to you about it.
Do you think it's like a kind of like a maturation type of, like a evolution type of thing?
Partially, I mean,
I guess everything is, all your work should be at least good art. But yeah, like I know a lot of the topics on there, you kind of like the R&R are like loaded.
mm-hmm.
And,
So much of the jazz thing is like, you got to learn what all these people did. And the longer time goes, the longer the tradition goes. And so I didn't want to slight my learning in that respect, right? I spent a lot of time playing with greats. I spent a lot of time listening to records and doing that sort of thing.
Again. When you recorded that Live at the Kennedy Center dual album with Malcolm Miller in 2006, I was 16. I'm 28 now. I've been listening to an album of you on it since I was 16.
Keep making me feel old.
Years.
Keep making me feel old, okay? Thank you. Thank you for that. Cheers, mate.
I guess now at this stage in my life, it's kind of like, it's like a person who read up all these books and now they're going to write their book.
mm.
And I feel like now I'm just kind of, well, how do you want to do it? What do you want to say? What?
For a new jazz musician who's coming up, right, or who just came out of school or something, do you encourage them to go and like be different and evolve and, you know, be interesting and do things that are not traditional and break those rules and see where they go? And
No.
Or is it like, no, you have, it's like a rite of passage thing where you have to do these?
Well, music is a folk art, right? In that it's got a tradition. So it's like cooking, for instance. So you can't go into the kitchen and say, oh, I'm just going to freestyle and I'm going to make it up. I think what the young musician has got to understand is equity, is ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's owning your products, whether it's owning the landscape that you're in and defining that landscape. When you argue about something like jazz and say, you know, we got to start a new, you just kind of move out of your neighborhood for somebody else to swoop in.
So when I grew up, there was two kind of people in the neighborhood, right? So you got the people who couldn't wait to make their $5 and leave the block. Right? They couldn't wait to get out of the neighborhood. Man, I can't wait till I get out of here. And then there was the people who said, man, I want to make all the money I can, and I'm going to fix up my block. I'm not going to be mad when people come in and gentrify and they do stuff like call my old neighborhood Upper Manhattan. It's not Upper Manhattan, it's Harlem. So some people say jazz is dead or it's corny or whatever. I play jazz music. And so I want to buy the block, so that's what I'm trying to do. We hope you'll support us. We hope you'll keep moving with us. And thank you, God bless you, and good night.
So you're referring to this as a tape?
Yeah.
Album. Why is that?
Because that was the idea of it. I wrote all this music and I was experimenting with all of these samples. Like I said, I was experimenting with the band on the first session. But after I heard the first day, we did everything. Everything was done in like 6 hours. After I heard the first session, which was like 4 hours, I said, oh, I just need a couple more tunes, and then this is kind of like a project.
Yeah.
So I went back in. In that time, Victor Gould joined us, and Tyrone Allen came in on bass and vocals and stuff. And then we added like 4 more tunes, and that's what we have. So I mixed it. I'm most proud of this out of all my projects so far.
Wow, I never heard you say that before.
Say what?
And the band, Jackson Miller, why is it called Jackson Miller? Because people are thinking that that's your name.
Yeah. I've been hugged and Jackson, you're so nice. I made a whole video about it called "Updating Jazz." But the long and short of it is, I think that whole so and so quartet, such and such big band is very dated, but
Yeah.
it's also very self-indulgent. And I'm trying to make the Beatles. You see Jackson Miller, then you can depend that like, oh, Nicole is going to, oh, Tyrone is going to be there. Oh, they're going to play those tunes from This Might Not Work, and and so I'm trying to give back to this tradition. It's time for a lot of things to be updated in the jazz tradition. Jazz and blues and gospel, they're the musics that all other music aspires to be. So why don't we add to that? It's 2020.
Agreed. So like Jackson Miller, is the band who play in Jackson Miller, like, is it everybody who you're going to hear basically on the album? And also, if somebody, for example, if somebody loves Nicole or loves Tyrone or loves whoever, when they hear you play, like, is that a fixture? Are you always playing? Like, what is Jackson Miller? Is Jackson Miller the members of the band, or is Jackson Miller the sound?
So Jackson Miller for me has become, I wanted to boil down to a band. Like I said, like the Beatles, like you knew Ringo, John, Paul, but looking to find that has been tricky. People have other agendas, people have other things. But now I think the band has settled on Tyrone Allen on bass and Nicole Glover, who's been with me from the very beginning. And I don't see that changing anytime soon, but all programs are subject to change. So
Yeah.
we're going to hear a lot from those two. I mean, Nicole is already like, it's ridiculous.
I mean, she's amazing.
Yeah.
That girl put out like 3 horns.
Yeah.
I was like, this is just insulting at this point. I was like, what?
And the thing was because it started because I realized that women weren't getting the opportunities that men were getting. And
why do you think that is?
Well, because men are stupid. Like, we just do stupid stuff. We kind of will go along with what has been happening, or we trade favors, but in my case in particular, at those moments after the gig or on the road is when you make those bonds where you say, hey man, I got a gig when we get home, like, you want to do it? And a lot of times, just because of the way things are, if nobody thinks to change it, it just kind of keeps going along as it's going.
Yeah.
And I had heard her, and I knew she could play, and I knew the only difference between her and myself and some other people who learned is just an opportunity to be on the road, to be in those after hours times where you're in somebody's car and they're playing records and putting out, those little things, just having that experience without her being discriminated against, because all you can see her as is a sex object and not as a fellow musician. And so I found somebody and said, all right, you got to give somebody a shot. And it started us just playing some gigs, and then it kind of ballooned into like, she's kind of the core of my band. If she don't show up, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Actually, I did want to ask you about the artwork for the album.
Oh, that was interesting. I was looking on YouTube and on Instagram and looking around, and I found a nice lady, and we corresponded. And I asked her would she, I asked another guy first who I really liked his posters, and he actually just was too busy. He said, no, not at this time. But then I met a nice lady who I think she lives in Belgium, and we corresponded. And she did a post. She asked me what I wanted. I sent her some examples, and so then she sent me some examples back, and so she was really cool. So she's the Jackson Miller artist.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we were just talking this morning because she had to send me some other images. But yeah, she did exactly what I wanted. Originally, we were going to release it in Japan. And so that's why the kanji, the Japanese letters, are on the CD. But I left it on there. I was like, it's dope.
Oh, it looks dope.
Yeah, so. And I didn't, again, because it's a band concept, I didn't want like a group picture of us like arm in arm or outside the studio. That's all so. Excuse me?
Holding your instruments?
Yeah, exactly.
Behind, and you're like.
Yeah, no thank you, man. No thank you. So I'm really happy with the way the project turned out. And I'm really excited that Wayne Shorter retweeted the project today. You know, so we're moving on. And it's been out for all of 9 hours. So very cool.
It's exciting. What's next?
I
think that's a rude question to ask, actually, considering I'm like in a global pandemic. It's like the world shut down. I'm like, what's next? You're like,
no. So once it's over, I think I'm gonna just start doing some more records because I don't think we're going on the road for a while. But I want to keep working, so you know, I got something to express, something to say, and I don't want to lose the momentum. Right before this happened, Jackson Miller was going to be out for a month. And I was really looking forward to that momentum, but I don't want to lose that movement.
We need some music in here. Turn the radio on. Jackson Miller. You are listening to the sounds of Jackson Miller.
All right, now how's that?
I like that.